Hi, Dina. I'm Leanne. So we have Rachel here and Apostate Jerky Boy. So we're ex-JWs, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and we want to discuss flat Earth. Phil is skeptical. He has friends that are flat earthers. He might have some questions. And Apostate Jerky Boy, he has a YouTube channel. I suggest checking it out. It's more comedic than anything. Lots of laughs. He's yeah, you would say you're a flat earther officially.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess you could say that. I got into it right after getting disfellowshipped, actually.
yeah.
What year was that?
That was the very beginning of 2018.
Wow. Yeah, so pretty recent. And Rachel too, right? So, well, 2015, you woke up to flat Earth.
Yeah, August actually, of 2015.
Yeah.
I came across it online and just clicked it and didn't without thinking and went down the rabbit hole immediately.
Yeah. So, and then when you did that, you still stayed in the religion for quite some time after that, right?
Actually, I probably it was probably been January, February, the last time I put in any field service. So I just considered myself at the beginning of this year just a PMO. I didn't even know what a PMO was in January.
Nobody knew those terms.
No.
Yeah.
So I finally started doing some research in January. I was disgusted with the governing body pushing that. And so I finally said, okay, I'm just going to go online and find out what other people are saying about, the governing body pushing the. I never, ever listened to any apostate things. And I found out that apostates are really whistleblowers. That's what they
right.
are.
That's what they are. That's what they are. They expose the truth about the truth.
They expose the deceit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with Apostate Jerky Boy, he exposes a lot of that too in his videos. And I think a lot of ex-witnesses are just afraid to go there. You know,
oh
they
yeah,
feel the same way.
Unthinkable. Demons are going to come and pounce you.
Oh yeah, the first apostate video that I clicked on, it was like I was a nervous wreck. Like Satan's coming after me.
Sweating.
It's crazy. It really is. So nice to see you, Eric. Haven't even really talked to you yet. I just met you. He lives in Calgary too, and freedom fighter. Just if you want to explain a little bit about your beliefs and where you came from, and if you want to touch on some things, Eric.
Not sure where I could start with that.
When did you wake up to flat Earth?
Well, I think it's always been a question in the back of my mind, growing up and stuff like that. And, I joined Air Cadets when I was 11 years old, and I was flying in the cockpit of an airplane. And at the age of 13, I started growing crooked, and they didn't understand why. And by the time I was 15, I had to get my whole lumbar spine fused together. And it wasn't until later on in life where I figured out that it's because I've been lying to my own brain and my own going against the laws of nature that I grew with a crooked spine, right? There's gyroscopes in our eyeballs, and if we're not seeing level and thinking level, then our spine will grow accordingly, right? So so when I was just about 40 years old, that's when I kind of I was like, you know what, there's no proof that water can stick to a ball, so why do I think that water can stick to a ball? And I just I started telling people this, and people just thought I was crazy, and that was in 2018. But like even before that, when the rocket had hit the firmament in 2014, and I saw that video, I was questioning it, but like my family were like, come back to Earth, Eric, you know, like why would they lie about something like this and everything else? And but I also, like, I struggled with suicidal thoughts all my life too, right? And not understanding why, but like you know, I was mentally ill, right? Because of what the education system had told me to believe. I was mentally ill, and I was going through life living in this lie that really affected my mental health. When I turned 40, it was in 2018. And I discovered, you know, like, holy crap, I live on a flat Earth, you know, plane. That's when I was no longer suicidal. I was no longer, I didn't have these mental ill thoughts anymore, right? It was like I was free, right? And
Yeah,
the truth sets us free, right?
that's
And like,
right.
and if we're going against the laws of nature, like law is land, air, water, and if we can't trust what our eyes see and what the water and tells us, then we're trapped. We're, you know.
Right.
So
I think it goes against our subconscious.
yeah,
It messes with our spirituality.
yeah,
To believe in such an intense lie.
yeah,
Right? I mean, for you, you're probably connected more spiritually than the average person.
yeah,
And that's why you were affected in such a way, I would think.
yeah.
And you
I-
said you did some plane traveling when you were younger too, and you were looking out on the horizon for that curve,
Yeah,
and that affected things too, eh?
yeah, it affected my growth. Yeah, big time. Even on like in the first page of the flight dynamic summary, it says making the assumptions that the Earth is flat and stationary, that there's no Coriolis effect accounted for, right? And I even remember asking my flight instructor at that time, because I was learning how to fly planes, like, why would we make the assumptions of this if it wasn't true? You know, and I never really put lots of thought into it until like all the instrumentations on a plane have to be designed for a flat and stationary plane in
Like
order
the
to
like the gyroscope,
pardon
Yep.
me.
like
Yeah.
the gyroscope. The gyroscope is fixed,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, and that was a question I asked in flight school too. Like, I'm like, oh, you know, like, it doesn't work this way, right? It works this way, you know. So because we got to play with gyroscopes and stuff, and yeah, it's funny that it took me so long to like come to terms and actually realize that, you know, like these questions that I had throughout my life, like even when I was being taught about gravity in school, I was like, well, if gravity, like why do we call it gravity? Why can't we just call it falling? You know, and I just never really questioned it. You know,
Yeah,
No.
all these things are a mystery. They still can't figure it out to this day. They still can't measure it.
yeah,
They can't define it. It just is what it is, and we got to accept the way it is.
Yeah.
And what they say, right?
yeah,
Gravity never been proven. Even the Google search, when you search, is gravity a real thing?
that'd be a fact. Yeah.
They say no, it's a theory. Still. Oh, Phil just says he's going to connect soon. He had to disconnect, but he'll be back. So Phil is JW Updates. He has his YouTube channel. So he exposes a lot of what the religion is doing, the Jehovah's Witnesses, and their affiliation with the UN, as well as Apostate Jerky Boy.
Yeah.
He has a great channel. Do you want to say something?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Um,
Listen.
about which part?
So how did you wake up to flat Earth? Where were you at in your life? And also add in the exiting from the JWs if you can.
Okay. Yeah, I was a Jehovah's Witness up until I would say it was either the very end of 2017 or the beginning of 2018. And what happened was there was a elder in my congregation who offered me some weed, and I smoked with him, and then he told me afterward that I should confess. And so when I did, I got disfellowshipped.
He set you up.
Yeah, he set me. I got fired from my job because my boss was a JW2, and since I had no friends or family or job anymore, the elder that set me up, he said, "Hey, come work for me." And I worked for him. He kept saying he was going to pay me, but he never did. He set me up just to get some free labor out of me. So when during that time period, I was looking at YouTube videos, and when I came across Jeffrey Jackson lying under oath in the Australian Royal Commission, I felt all the blood run out of my face. I could not believe my eyes and ears. I was in a little bit of denial, but I knew that what I was seeing would change everything. It was at that moment I realized that my entire life was a lie. And well, I had a neighbor who I would chat with because, you know, I had just lost everybody, and he was the only person I could chat with at that time. And I remember going over there one day, and he was we were just shooting the shit. He's like, "By the way, do you know the earth is flat?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I just it didn't really sink in at that time. I just thought that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But he told me, he goes, "Listen, just go home. When you go home, try to prove me wrong." He said, he's like, "Try to prove to me that the earth isn't flat." And so I didn't have a job at that time, and I had all the time in the world. So I was up at my computer for days and nights just researching. And the more I researched, the more I realized, oh my God, there is something very wrong here. We are being lied to on a massive scale.
And was there like an addictive kind of process with the flat earth material compared to waking up to the JW teachings and doctrines, and how, you know, when you unravel all the lies, it becomes like this obsession, and you might even have like sleepless nights and emotional,
Yes.
you know, yeah.
So I want to backtrack a little bit. It was in I think it was 2012 or 2013, I picked up this book called Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper.
Yeah.
Where it was classified documents, a declaration of war against the American people from the 1930s was found in an IBM copier and printed in his book. And he was killed because of it. He was gunned down in his house by the FBI.
Yeah.
I was reading this stuff, and I couldn't believe what I was reading. It was all about secret societies and how the Freemasons control the world, and what their real agenda is to keep us dumb, ignorant, stupid, fat, lazy, and slow.
Mm-hmm.
And they use medications and fast food and religion and just anything else that they can throw at us to just break our will.
Yeah, media, entertainment, the work.
All of it. And so I remember I was out in service with the attorney of one of Watchtower's attorneys. This guy was a millionaire. He had a lot of money. And I was out in service with him, and we're sitting in the car talking, and I looked to my right, and there was a Freemasonic temple. And I said to him, "Do you know what they do there?" And he was like, "What do they do there?" I'm like, "Those are some of the most evilest people in the world. They're actually Satan worshipers." And he looks at me and he goes, "Well, you know, one of the very first conventions was held at a Freemasonic temple."
That's right.
And I'm like, "What?" And then he pointed to his pinky ring, which I never noticed before. That was just a few months before getting disfellowship. Like, all the pieces started coming together all at once.
You think that's why they set you up?
That's a good question. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be
Well,
surprised. I'll tell you
They
that.
don't want to, Freemasons don't want to be exposed, so they have to set you up to discredit you before you can say anything or make any kind of accusation or something.
Possibly. Yeah,
they
that
would
wouldn't
catch
surprise
on
me.
real quick to that and try and silence even before the apostate information in regards to the religion. But that's a whole other thing with their roots, with Charles Taze Russell, and they had a Kingdom Hall too that they started up in a Masonic temple, as well as and let's not forget the convention center with the pyramid
And the tombstone at his,
tombstone. Yeah, and they didn't factor in Google Earth around that time where we can see it from high up. It's pretty plain to see. It's pretty undeniable.
and
Anybody who
there's a
says that
whole-
was done, anybody who says that was done by accident, that's a total lie. Because when you're making, when you're a draftsman, you have to draft out from like sky view. So that was completely done on purpose.
Absolutely. It's pretty pronounced too. So there's Masonic ties with all these religions, right? Who claim to worship God or Jesus, yet they have all these Masonic, their devotion is more towards Lucifer. It's Luciferianism, the Pope. There's so much to tie in there. But the fact that the witnesses, the religion is dedicated to pushing propaganda that serves, the UN, the WEF, and it's so apparent, even with the talks that they give, that they're all tied in, and they wouldn't even be allowed to have the platform that they have, the JW app and the website, and they wouldn't even be running if they exposed the truth and actually became the truth and said, what, this is all false and we're going to reveal the truth. They would be shut down. The governing body would be killed off one by one or what have you, right? I mean, as long as they play ball, they signed up for it, right? As NGOs with the UN for 10 years. And we were just talking about that earlier, that they're still very much a part of that. They don't refer to that as the wild beast anymore and to stay away from it. They're serving that agenda with all the climate change and the globe model, the heliocentric model.
Yeah.
They push it. They advertise, and all their videos are basically advertisements. They're just promotional dramatizations saying, wear your mask, do what the government tells you to do. Not Jesus, and there's scriptures that they use, they'll twist to say, no, we need to follow, Romans 13 they use, to obey authority, no matter what they say. And then the governing body also says, don't question us, obey whatever we say.
Yeah, and they conveniently forget about, I think it's Revelation 16, 14, and 16, where it says that the demons go to the governments of the earth to prepare for the war against Jesus. Well, the governments of the earth then are siding with Satan.
That's right. That's what it is. And there's so much evidence of that. Just
What scripture is that?
I think it's Revelation 16 verses 14 and 16, because when I was still going out in field service right before, then see, I'm doing all these crazy, sorry, Leanne, you're going to have to edit out a lot from me. Anyway, so I would show that to people in field service to get them to realize that their governments are
In cahoots.
you know, in cahoots. Yes.
Absolutely.
They're inverting everybody's reality and confusing mankind, right? And that's so they can further their agenda in the, you know, trans and the, you know, pedophilia and everything else. It's very sickening, really.
Yeah, it's normalizing evil. And it's like that scripture in Isaiah, good will become bad, bad will become good.
Mhm.
And that's happening. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I was adopted at 18 months, and my mother that adopted me, she's a nurse, and then she remarried when I was 8 years old to a Freemason. And so my uncle, my grandfather, and him were all Freemasons. Ever since I came out with flat earth and everything, they don't speak to me anymore. So it's yeah.
Huh. Do you think they're in the know? Because I thought the lower Masons were just, you know, they just wanted to go party and be in a club. But at a certain level, then I think they were let in on stuff.
Yeah, I know my father was one of the Grand Masters back in New Brunswick, and my mother, she's a retired nurse, and like for me to talk about vaccinations or anything like that to her, she's like, no, it's not true, you know, you're propaganda, right? Because the cognitive dissonance that she doesn't want to, either she knows that she was hurting people or she doesn't want to know that she was hurting people, right? So I just yeah, it's a tough one. But I told her that, you know, like, if you think that we're flying around the sun at like breakneck speeds, Mom, like you're not thinking for yourself. And I'm like, Dale knows. He was a Freemason. He must know that the earth. She's like, oh, he never got that high, she said, right? So so I don't know, right? It's like, it's almost like they have their secrecy from me as well, right? So
well, do you know they have to sign these oaths or say these oaths that they will be disemboweled and everything in some ceremonial thing if they tell anybody.
Yeah, and that's a real threat, and that's a lifetime of secrecy that they're willing to, you know, take part of.
Oh yeah.
As well as everyone at NASA and all those astronauts.
Yeah.
You know, swearing into secrecy, right? To this day, they won't budge. In fact, they'll punch you out if you approach them. Hey, you know, swear that you never went, or swear that you went to the moon.
Yeah.
You know what? I remember when I think I was in elementary school when that rocket went to the moon with the teacher on it, and it blew up and all those people died. And that was like the saddest thing that stuck in my memory forever. So when I started to look into flat earth, I'm like, wait a second, if you know, something's not right here. When I did more research, I found out all those people are still alive.
Yes. Except for one people can't find. And some of them are identical twins, but they never went to their twins' funeral. And some of them have the same names and have the same faces. They're just, you know, 20, 30, whatever, how many ever years older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and imagine starting that trauma-induced emotional reaction on a like pretty much a global scale, right? Because everyone's watching at the same time. I
think it was a ceremony also.
Very much
it was some sort of ritual, because they scooted TVs into kids' classrooms just so that they would have that mass occult trauma, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, to affect the masses in such a way, it is satanic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The soul lure system.
Well, I thought we were going to have a few people that were just getting into flat earth, but looks like everybody here right now already knows.
Yeah.
So everyone here is a flat earther.
Yeah.
Bill can't join. He apologizes. He says he'll connect the next time. Jimmy Bell couldn't make it, and he's skeptical and open to the subject.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
he can come on next time too.
Okay, this is what I would like to see. This is my whole goal here. You got to have a goal, or else you're just lost, right? Okay, so does everybody know about David Weiss, right? Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. That was actually the website that I went to in 2015. I was doing some research on 9/11 and followed a link to his website, saw his research, and then I saw all of these different things that he researched. And one of them was just a question, a link, and it said, is the earth really a spinning globe? So I just clicked it without thinking and started, going down the rabbit hole, like I said. But so where was I getting with this? So David Weiss now has this great app, right? Everybody have it? The Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Does everybody have that?
Yeah, I have the app on my phone. I bought
Okay.
it when you suggested it a few
Yes.
weeks ago, and
Right.
it is full of information. Just
Yes,
jam-packed.
and here are all these links. Anyway, so what he does now, because he sells the app for like $2.99. There you go. So he has all these
One-time
interviews
fee.
on here, and you can go to his website and set him up for an interview. So I was thinking that I want to help now XJWs or anybody, PMOs like me or whatever. I don't know whether I'm transitioning. I don't even know if I'm an XJW yet. I don't even know. But anyway,
Mentally,
I want to.
spiritually, you are.
Oh,
And physically
yeah.
now too, since you're inactive.
Yes. Anyway,
You're
yes,
officially
right.
an XJW. Welcome to the club.
But the thing is that I have several family members that I've been talking with for several years. 3 or 4 of them are flat earthers. But they're
It's more common than one would think. When I got out and started talking to others, XJWs included, who I wish could have joined today, but there are flat earthers everywhere. And that app will tell you exactly whoever's signed on to the app, who's subscribed. You can find people in your own area.
Yes. You can do the friend finder thing. Right, exactly. Which I've already gotten a few messages from people, but I don't know where they are. Anyway, so this is my hope, is that I can do a platform. See, but I can't, Rachel isn't even my real name because I don't, because my situation with my family, they're right on the edge of I think having their own freeing themselves from this cult. So I want to be patient with them and not just, skip because they'll cut the ties. So I'm kind of in that transitional thing. Anyway, so I want to find somebody that has a good platform and get David Weiss on and do an interview and focus it towards XJWs, because this is the thing. Climate change is coming up. Right? Everybody knows that. That's going to be the next false flag. That's going to be the next COVID. You have to edit that out.
That's okay. Yeah.
I want to prepare as many people as I can for that. And they can't fool you about climate change if you're sitting in a greenhouse, if you're sitting in a Truman Show enclosed system or whatever, Yeah,
you don't have to be afraid of solar flares and
right, and
big asteroids.
And you don't have to buy, just like with this thing that happened in March of 2020. How many of you were fooled about this new disease? How many of you?
Not even for a second.
Right, because you already had known about false flags and other things like that. You were already skeptical.
Yeah.
But still, we didn't know really what to do, right? I mean, we didn't know how, like for me, I was still in the thing. So when I went into HEB, I had to slap a face mask on. And the minute I did that, I realized the divisive nature of it. Before, I was with the half of the people that didn't have face masks on. The minute I did according to what the governing body said and put that face mask on, now all of a sudden I was with all the ones who had the face mask on. And I realized this is satanic.
It's
This
a
is
ritual.
satanic.
Yeah.
Right. So right after that, there were people that were coming out with, hey, the germ theory is false, you know, and they started to expose it. And now terrain theory is understood to be, you know, it's actually how our bodies work, right? So
Yeah,
another,
terrain theory is, there's more information on that. People are talking about it more
Yes.
now, but
right,
it's always
right.
been there,
So
right from the
it's-
beginning.
So if we had been prepared with that knowledge before that pandemic hit, then we would have been freer, you know, understanding things more and not be confused. So just like with climate change, if people are already understanding that this earth is not a globe and subject to global warming and all of their regulations that they're going to bring in, all their emergency powers they're going to bring in, the digital this and that, the IDs and everything like that, if they're already understanding about the earth, then they're not going to fall for it. And they won't be victims. There'll be less and less and less victims with each thing that they do. If we keep on top of the deception of modern science. Modern science was created as a deception. The heliocentric globe model is a deception. Particle physics is a deception. Germ theory is a deception. Everything that we're taught is a deception. So exposing what modern science is and the deception that it is will help people to be free from it that much sooner. To me, that's my goal. And I think David Weiss is going to be a great tool in helping, you know, XJWs with that.
Yeah, I really like the fact that he's open to going on other people's channels and he has his schedule right there. And I was thinking, you know, maybe for next time, just get him on. I know my platform isn't as big as I would like, but I think with his name attached as well as Jimmy Bell, and if Apostate Jerky Boy could come back, and then JW updates, we're all ex-JWs, and Eric, you're more than welcome to, and just get a group together, and you know, he'll have an answer for anybody who has any question, because literally there's a simple answer for any question in regards to our flat plane. The geocentric model is simplistic. It's reasonable. You know, it adheres to our senses. We go outside. I have these new eyes to see now with my new belief system. So when I drove out to Red Deer the other day, you could see the prairies. It's beautiful. I've always loved the open skies driving on the prairies. Full moon too that day. The sun rays, it's like a triangle. You know, you go back to the source of that light, and it's so simple. Yet we don't think about these things. And I think there's a subconscious cognitive dissonance where we don't even think about these things that we're taught our whole lives. We just accept it, because if we were to think about it, we would come up with all these challenges and none of it would make sense. The sun being 93 million miles away does not make sense in so many ways. And
Right, the inverse square law. I mean,
just that
of
alone,
light. Yeah,
right? Just that alone. So when I was driving, I just felt so awake and alert and connected, you know, to God. And it was, and I literally said out loud, I can't believe I believed that. How can anyone believe this? Something needs to be done. The sun rays, like they're coming down to the sides. The sun is right there, you guys. It's right there. Trust your eyes. You know, the curvature, there's so much proof.
and if you were to go up,
Curve.
sorry, was somebody going to say something? I'm hearing echoes.
Apostate Jerky Boy, what do you got to say? Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was, it's a little bit off topic, but I did want to say that there, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the video that's coming out on jw.org soon, and maybe like a week and a half it'll be out. There's a convention video about wearing your mask and getting your,
Right.
oh my God, I didn't mean to
can't
say
wait.
that.
Are you going to do a video on that? You still gonna do a video
will.
on that? Oh, can't wait.
I'm waiting for it to come out, but when this is released, it's looking like if you, so they already put out an elder's letter that said it's going to be a disfellowshipping offense to create divisions within the congregation. So if you speak against the CDC, if you speak against the WEF, you'll be disfellowshipped. That's what it's coming down to.
That must be really recent.
Yeah, this is going to be happening very soon.
Yeah, because
well, you know what?
Slowly come out with these things over time. They don't just hit you with it all at once. They operate the same way as the controllers, basically. You know.
Yeah, it's like dropping a frog into a pot of water. You know, it's cold,
right.
but then you turn the heat up, and you know, don't even realize it's boiling until it's too late.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. Yeah.
You know, my son is an elder, and every once in a while he'll drop hints. It's because he hates the mask. He absolutely hates it. And it's his wife is having panic attacks when they have to go to the meeting. So they try not to go to the meetings unless he has a part. So if that is true, all this, because they haven't, several people in my family who are Jehovah's Witnesses have not gotten the solely because of my insistence on harping and harping and harping on it. And so they're now at this transition. So if that's true about not only the mask, but the vaccine again, I don't know, that might put them, push them over the edge. And I'm supposed to go on a family vacation with them for a whole week next month. And I'm surprised that they invited me because they've already kind of quieted down on their conversations with me. But I'm thinking that their curiosity is getting the best of them.
Has anyone Googled sudden death yet looked at any of the articles that have come up recently?
You mean as far as a sudden adult death?
Yeah.
Sudden adult death syndrome.
Yeah.
Where everybody's dropping left and right.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. And
all those doctors?
I was getting my hair cut recently, and my barber, he got his jab. But he's talking to me. He's like, man, everybody's dropping like flies recently. What do you think it is? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, it must be something in the air or something in the water or all the stress of today. And that could be it, probably, because you can't tell people. You can't tell people what's going on. They'll lose their mind. And that's probably what's going to lead into the next civil war. That's probably what's going to make everything, all the people go crazy when they find out how badly they were lied to. Speaking of another scripture, you mentioned the Revelation scripture. I got another Revelation scripture for you. I can't remember what the exact number is, but it's like an angel of Jehovah will pour out a bowl onto those who got the mark of the beast.
Oh yes,
they will break out with terrible sores.
Revelation 16:2.
Yeah, that right there. Man, I didn't stumble across that scripture until monkeypox was in the mainstream news.
Really? Here, listen. It says, and the first went and poured out his bowl into the earth, and it became a noisome and grievous sore upon the men that had the mark of the beast and that worshipped its image. Now that's the American Standard Version. There's all kinds of other versions, but yeah, it's a grievous sore. So it's in other versions it says ulcer, and I pointed that out to some of my relatives several months ago, and so yeah, the monkeypox. I hadn't thought about that was the start. That's probably the start of it, because that's what they are. They're ulcers.
Yeah. That's it's a side effect.
Yeah,
people,
skin rashes, people breaking out in skin rashes and going to dermatologists and
Yep.
and you know, the doctors will say everything else under the sun except for the, you know, the main cause at hand. And that's the immune system flaring up, being overwhelmed, can't fight
Well,
off the spike proteins.
I heard a doctor say it's like there's a split in your skin, in the layers of your skin, and that top layer then bubbles up, and that's why it has the bubble of a pox or something. I don't know. It's like an ulcer.
Skin is a reflection of what's happening inside your body.
Yeah.
So just
It's
imagine
how your
what's
body gets
doing
used.
to your insides. Yeah.
Yeah, because who knows how long those spikes. Here's your another. Sorry, I put another
Keyword.
There's no cutoff. There's no cutoff date, and it goes throughout your whole body. It doesn't just stay there, you know.
No, it doesn't go away. You
Oh,
can't
my.
really detox from it. So
No.
years down the road, who's to say what our population is going to be, especially now that they're coming out with a new one for this. There's going to be that new variant, con or something, and it's never going to end. And at first they were saying every year, now they're saying every 9 months, you know, and you just keep adding to that, and eventually you're just gonna tap out, and they're not gonna blame it on the thing you put in your arm. You know, it's always going to be blamed on something else, like it is now with SADS, you know. And you just go back to when they were saying SIDS, and they still are, and how that's still being sold to the public, with how it lines up with the schedule with these kids, right? Healthy babies, healthy children don't just die in their sleep. So if you want to look up SADS, look up SIDS first. But that's the thing. Again, we're coming across information control when you freely want to research on Google. I mean, even with flat earth, you go on YouTube and it's just all ridiculous controlled opposition theories. The first, 20 hits is all just garbage. It's just going to make you want to go back to your other belief system and say that the theory is ridiculous. So it's the same thing with researching anything else. And the web is being scrubbed, has been, of all that vital information, that exposing information. That's why with the David Weiss app, yeah, you can pretty much find everything.
Everything's there. Yeah.
And there's still existent channels on YouTube, but even when you specifically type up a title of a video, it won't show it. Imagine.
Yes. Right. Like just like that 21 or Stranger's Guide or whatever to Flat Earth, I had to go to BitChute to find it.
Yeah, BitChute is a really good source.
Yeah.
I had to go find the other day, I wanted to see apostates. Hey, that would be another one, Apostates Gone Wild. But Astronauts Gone Wild. And so I found, like, the full interviews but yeah, I tried finding that on YouTube. It wasn't there. But yeah, BitChute is really good for finding that, for finding information. But even then, there's things that are taken down, or videos that just don't work once you open it.
Right.
So back to the subject at hand. Eric Dubay was also really instrumental in waking me up. Just researching and coming across this information, it's just so eye-opening and exciting. And it is the root of all lies. I think it starts with flat earth. It shouldn't end with flat earth. Like, oh, I'm going to save that rabbit hole for last. No, It's probably the most important.
Well, you know what? When they're also going to do this alien agenda, right? Project Bluebeam. So that's another reason why, if we understood that, you know, that this is it right here, you know, it's everything's just right there, then people wouldn't get so worried and confused and be led around like little sheep because of their ignorance about it.
Yeah, and it'll change your perception. Once that belief system is done away with, like David Weiss says, when that little notification comes up, a globalist or a globe believer has just died. And a flat earther has been born. And how you get little notifications, and that does something with your psyche too. It's like good news, someone else has just come around. But yeah, I forget what I was going to say though, what my point was. But once your consciousness is onto that, then it's easier for you to absorb these other things, and not have that wall up, not have the wool so tightly pulled over your eyes.
Brain doesn't function at the full capacity that it could or should if we are believing a lie and telling our brain a lie as well, right? And
that's right.
And
yep.
There's no money in healthy people, so they make the brain sick so the body can get sick, and if the brain dies, the body will die as well, right? So it puts a lot of stress upon a person, and I don't know, like we do have a mind's eye as well, and if it's not connected properly, then our brain's just not, it's like we're not home, it's not functioning properly.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better now that I'm open about where I live, and trust my senses, and trust real science, right? Like science is observable, measurable, repeatable, verifiable, and testable. Well, I see the sun move, I see the moon move, never seen the earth move, so why would I think that the earth moves, right? It puts people in a grave, you know, thinking of gravity. They're spinning in their graves. Grave and gravity have the same letters, and it's a spell. It's a curse on mankind.
Yes, a curse on mankind. Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like the terminology, you know, the law of the sea, you know, everything, you know, your birth, you know, it's just all of that language is like a satanic legal document or something against it.
Yeah, I didn't even know what law stood for until a couple days ago. I was talking to somebody in Calgary who knows oh yeah, she's done her research. She's actually a part of our group, Eric, on the messenger group.
Right.
And you know, she was explaining all this. I said, you got to send me some more information, because I kind of came on to common law, you know, sovereignty, all these things. But yeah, it makes sense. Land, air, water.
Yeah.
That's the law. That's the real law that we need to follow, God's law.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going up on some charges. I was at a rally back in January where someone was being pulled into the cop car, and I kind of got it in the way and everything else, but I didn't touch any police officers or anything, but they're trying to, and I got elbowed in the face, and then I got a bike in the chest, and they're trying to charge me with 2 counts of assault on a police officer and 2 charges of obstruction. And I'm going up on my 7th appearance here in the end of August, and I still haven't pleaded out on it. But I told the judge, I said, before you can have any authorization or judgment upon me, you must prove to me that a boat can float on a spinning ball. And he just kind of looked at me, right? So you got to understand the laws, and like understand, and because if we're operating under the land, air, water, and understand, you know, land is stationary, air must be contained, and water will always seek its lowest level, then we're not part of their satanic mental asylum, right? they can't have jurisdiction over us. So, yeah,
Right.
yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, well, the fact that they don't really have jurisdiction, you just have to know that language.
Yeah,
And you can turn it right over on your behalf. So that's something that I want to start looking into more too.
yeah.
But yeah, what was so Eric, with how you grew up and these physical changes you were going through,
Mhm.
what was the I guess the first indication that we're not on a globe?
Well, geez, I think it was just air cadets. For some reason, I just wanted to be up high enough to see where we were. I mean, I remember when I was 6 years old being told that we could dig straight down and we'll get to China, and I didn't understand that, right? Like I was like, doesn't make sense. What? How?
Oh
could
yeah,
that?
the kids joke about that in school. They joke
Yeah.
about it because it's funny. It's silly.
Yeah. So I don't know, like it it complicated my life, that's for sure. I deal with chronic pain. It's getting worse as I'm getting older. I'm coming up to 44, and I tried to do a stone job with a buddy of mine for a few days, and and then I'm out for a week not being able to walk, right? And it affects my, like, pain affects your mental health. I'm trying to deal with it every day, and I don't know. It frightens me that there's other children that are growing up with the same kind of issues and not knowing why. And I know that this is why. It's nothing to do with genetics. I met my real family, my blood family. They have no kind of scoliosis, no kind of problems like that within their family, and it just happened to land on me, right? So yeah.
And the brain is a powerful organ, muscle, and it's amazing how things can transcend. I was diagnosed with scoliosis 10 years ago. It's a mild form.
Yeah.
But just hearing now, it's, who knows the source of that?
Yeah.
It could be mental trauma.
Yeah.
How things transcend. And even with mental illness, it's all based in trauma. And they want you to believe that all these diagnoses in their books there.
Yeah.
There's actually no such thing as mental illness. It's all untreated concussions.
Concussions or trauma-based experiences in life, being neglected, being raised as a Jehovah's Witness in itself can cause trauma.
That's true too.
And being excommunicated at an early age, right? When you're too young to deal with those sorts of things, and that sort of pressure is put on you, and you're kicked out of the house, and everything changes overnight. That causes trauma. And that was my experience, which led to, mania, mental illness, right?
Gaslighting children into believing in a globe is child abuse and trauma in itself. So
yes, you factor in all these things. They attack us on all levels.
Yeah.
And it's tactful, it's meticulous. They know exactly what they're doing, even when they start things at a certain date. I mean, what we're seeing now was planned years ago.
Yeah.
And they wrote it 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're seeing all these things unfold. Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't buy it, but I still complied
Yeah.
at
So
first.
did I, to a
Yeah.
certain degree, because you're confused. You don't know what to do.
Yeah, and the Jehovah's Witnesses are saying, well, this is what we need to do. It's
Yeah.
it's being pushed on us, and you think, well, if this is the truth, then, you know, I guess we should follow along and, you know, kind of see what happens. I was
Right, because you
right,
don't want to be
governing
blood
body.
guilty.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, well, the governing body is either completely oblivious or they're in on it. So I was going to write them, but that chance never came because I woke up before that could happen.
I wrote them before the came out. Do you want me
Mm.
to read that letter?
Yeah, sure. If it's
It's not very
a
long.
couple minutes or so, yeah.
Yeah.
You do that. I'm gonna grab another coffee, but I can still hear.
Okay. Let me bring it up. So, Eric, the governing body is just the leaders of the Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't know if you know anything about them. They're in New York. They're in upstate New York. It says, "Dear brothers, I've delayed in writing this letter." Sorry, let me turn off the air conditioner. "But today I realize the time has come and I must communicate these few thoughts with you. It was in the mid-1990s when I came to true knowledge about the Bible and saw how modern science was skewed in favor of evolution. Since that time, I have seen this pattern continue in other areas of science. For me, this is a simple statement of fact. For well over 100 years, modern science has been a tool to deceive people about the causes of observable phenomena. In 2015, I wrote you about one of them, the heliocentric globe model." See, I did. I wrote them pretty much within a month, because I asked them in September 2015, what is the rate of curvature of the Earth, so that I could go. I was going to go to the beach and I was going to test it, right? So that was the first letter. Of course, they wrote me back and said, "We don't know. We haven't researched it," and that's the last I heard from them on anything. Anyway, it says, "I wrote to you about one of them in 2015, the heliocentric globe model. When examining the evidence, I realized that a geocentric stationary plane model was more likely to be true. Since then, I've also seen this pattern of deception with particle physics. Field physics seems to be more likely to be true. And since March of this year, I've been studying germ theory and found that terrain theory explains biology better, especially with how the immune system works." So that's what I've already shared with you. Okay, so I said, why did I decide that today is the day to write to you? I talked with my younger son, who is an elder here in the Bandera English congregation, and he was very excited about the new that will soon come on the market and allow people to get back to their normal lives. And my heart sank because I can see how the perceived legitimacy of modern science is being used to convince people, including my son, that this will be a good thing, but it will only be a good thing for Satan and his system. Yes, I'm talking about the mark of the beast. And I think that this whole thing is the beginning of the mark of the beast. That's what I still feel anyway. Okay, so on to the letter. There's only one more paragraph. One only needs to observe the new technology that will be employed within and in support of this to realize how it meets the criteria of Revelation 13, 16 through 18, where that's what it talks about the mark of the beast. Okay, but it said, I said, I won't take time now to make the list of the patents and laws that are being passed. They are openly available for anyone to see. That was like the mandates and the experimental stuff. Okay, so I feel that time is of the essence, and what I fear most of all is that Matthew 24, 48 through 51 will also be fulfilled. Now this, Eric, is talking about how Jesus said that there would be a faithful and discreet slave, which this governing body professes to be. But then right after that, he said, but if that evil slave starts to beat his fellow slaves, then I will come and basically, pass judgment on them. They're going to go off into a bad place. See, so that's what I feel like the governing body has done. They have started to beat the ones that they were, the other slaves in the house. They've started to beat them. So I said, I think that this might be fulfilled. That people, they hang on your every word. There's 8 million, Jehovah's Witnesses. They hang on your every word, and I feel they limit their own power of reasoning based on what you tell them is true. If they think that Satan's power is limited to just lurking around, tempting people to commit idolatry or immorality, then they will never see the comprehensive span of his plans going back centuries. And so please respond soon. So, you know, to me, it's gotten even more obvious since then. And this was November of 2020, you know, before the shots even came out. So frustrated.
And of course, you didn't get a response.
Oh, no, nothing.
And I remember being told by other witnesses, oh, if you write the governing body, someone will get back to you. It might not be the governing body members themselves.
Well, I even met with a circuit overseer about flat Earth in about 2018 because I wanted to, you know, I had already written them back, you know, a couple of times, and I said, look, you know, what are you doing about this?
What are you doing?
Of course, I wasn't
about
getting
this?
any.
Yeah, good one.
And so, you know, and so he poo-pooed it, you know, and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's a lot to be said there. I think that the governing body could actually be the evil slave.
Well, yeah, you know, if the Bible really is true and what Jesus said is really true, then I think they're a fulfillment of it. And there may even be more, you know, other organizations that also fulfill that role. I mean, we don't know.
Does anyone know how the book of Enoch and the book of Thomas, I know there's some other books that were removed from the Bible that go into detail?
Enoch, I think, is pretty specific about the shape of the earth, but I don't know.
Yeah, on its own, it's pretty specific.
Yeah, it talks about the portals.
Yeah.
Portals.
Yeah, the 6
Well,
portals that goes above us. Yeah.
Well, I was always really astonished with the idea of black holes, but would it be similar to that?
I'm not too sure. I think the portals, what they're talking about more is the 6 concentric rings that the sun goes down. So it like comes in and goes out again, kind of like a compass would work, right? How it makes a smaller circle and a bigger circle. Yeah.
And gateways, like when the flood came or whatever, you know, those were openings.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes, Noah's flood makes so much more sense.
Yes.
When you use that perspective.
Yeah, it's like we're in a
Floodgates are
bathtub.
opening up. The water pours in.
What happened to what happened to Apostate Jerky Boy?
Let's see. Oh, he went off. Not sure why. He got quiet there. Let's see. He says he has to get going. Thank you for having me on the show. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Floods can't happen on a spinning ball either. So that's
Oh, nothing. I was trying to imagine, what if, let's just put this heliocentric model into play and pretend that it's reality for a second. We would be destroyed. Like, I mean,
Yeah, no, there's no way.
You know, all of reality, it would just be a Hollywood movie. I mean, water flying everywhere, you know, through space, and, you know, things exploding and the sun burning things, and you can't contain that. That model can't exist. It's impossible.
No.
That's what's silly. That's what's ridiculous. And somehow they got away with flipping it the other way around to make us look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yes,
To make
you
the
know,
truth look stupid.
I went to an observatory in Texas here. There's a observatory in the Big Bend called West Texas, which is called the McDonald Observatory. And so, of course, you know, they take you for a tour around, you know, these astronomers, you know, that are there. And so I asked her, I said, so what's the deal with the sun? How on earth could, if all these stars out there are actually suns and light goes on forever, how could we ever have night? And you know what she said?
Yeah.
She said, there's lots of dust out there. There's dust clouds. And I said, is that it?
And here we're
What?
factoring in the actual size of the sun.
Yeah.
Well, and all these
According
other
to their-
stars are much bigger suns, and the light supposedly just keeps going and never ends.
Yeah. I did a lot of, I compared Jupiter as our biggest planet and looks like a little star compared to a star that's 4 light years away, which is 23 trillion miles away. And think of that size, how big that would have to be just to travel to, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Right. And how I don't know if you know anything about Globe Busters. Did you ever watch Globe Busters? That's that group of researchers.
Yeah.
Back in the early days, John the Morgile, he did lots of videos on if you were to compare the heliocentric globe model and with the star formations and the planet alignments, and you see Mercury or Mars or something,
Venus,
or Mercury or Venus right beside Jupiter. Well, guess what? There's no way.
No.
Because one is on that side of the sun and the other one's on the other, and we're in the middle or something. I mean, it's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
And all the speeds and all the mathematics, it's all 666.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I tried to bring it to the attention to Freedom Central and their rallies and stuff, and I was alienated from the group, and I've been looked at as being insane and everything else. And I was walking with these guys for a year, trying to be quiet about it, trying to just talk to them about it. And then I got kind of loud, and I said, well, if you guys want to make me look crazy, then I'm going to act crazy. And my main target was the police, right? Because they've been lied to too, and they have guns, and I'd rather have them on our side than not on our side, right? So I don't know. It's it's been a battle, that's for sure.
I mean, I've raised it too with a couple people, Eric.
Yeah.
And just the response I get is oh, I don't have time for that, and it's not something I want to go down or consider, and like it's a waste of time.
Yeah. Even with and they're supposed to be preaching scripture all the time. Well, said he was like, well, I don't have time for that. I need to make sure that my brother is safe and that his court case is taken care of before I go down that hole. And I'm like, it's right there in Genesis 1-26.
It's in the Bible. It's all through the Bible.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder, like, who these people are idolizing these days, right? Because even when you listen to him speak, he talks about my God. Like, what about our God? Like, what about our creator, right? Yeah. So it just,
I haven't heard him preach. I haven't gone to that church. So I can't really speak on that, but I come across some of his videos. I know, like, now he's running, you were saying, for Premier?
For Premier, yeah. And I went to his church twice, and both times were bad experiences.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I won't get much into it, but like the second time that I went to, someone had waited outside for me and picked a fight with me, and I never went back. I was like,
oh no.
That's like, I won't give my time and energy to people like that or places like that, for that matter, right? So
right.
Yeah,
it's just, you got to find your community, because there's a lot of division with this subject, probably the most division.
Yeah.
Even with, you can be for the mandates or against them and still be walking together, marching together.
Yeah.
But
I really don't think that they should be calling it like these movements, freedom movements, if they're not speaking about truth, that's for sure. Make it about pro-choice or something, but don't call it a freedom movement if you're not talking truth, because the truth shall set us free, right? And
well, it's because of freedom of speech is synonymous with freedom of movement,
Mhm.
And so when you're censoring people from sharing their truths, it doesn't even have to be the truth. If it's their truths,
Mhm.
give people the voice, give people the platform, and leave room for discussion, and be adults, and be open, and don't be hypocritical.
Yeah.
Because if you do stand for freedom, then you'll allow people to cover all the pieces of the puzzle, and this is one big piece.
Oh yeah. It's our
Yeah, it is. It's a huge piece.
it's mental slavery, and there are laws against slavery, but there's no laws against consensual slavery. So
Mhm.
it's
That's
like
right.
we're consenting without even knowing it, which
That's
is-
right.
Yeah.
We're consenting without even knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the big red flags, I notice even more now after waking up, is the propaganda, and just the constant visual reminders, through production companies, schooling, commercials, everywhere. Screensavers on Apple TV, iPhone screensavers. I mean, it is like in your face at all times.
Yeah.
And even with the JW religion too, there was the convention material. I saw a little bit of it, and he wasn't even, was he a teacher? I forget what, but he had a globe on his desk. It's like, why put that there? And then their backdrop too, they'll have the globe, and then their UN article, UN climate change article, had the cover of the globe on fire.
And they even had
two
the
false
question.
agendas in one picture.
And then they even had the question for an article: is the earth flat? And they said no, and then they went on to
I was gonna look at that yesterday. I was gonna go on the app, the JW app, and see.
That was about a
the
year
Lowy
ago.
propaganda. They sure
can't
have. They
remember
have
that.
a lot of it though, right?
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, and it's it's on their broadcasting videos. Just
Oh
with
yeah, it's in the.
light.
It was in the. Remember when we went to show people videos? There was a whole one on that, on how modern science is, shows you that the globe is right, and how all these stupid cultures of the past thought it was, and they'd have a little square, with a Mercator map on that, rather than that, they'll never put the North Pole in the middle because that's how it really is. But instead, they'll do that other one with the, deception.
I had this question too for a little bit. According to the 10,000-year-old map, where we have extra land, extra continents outside of Antarctica. And I was thinking, well, our sun doesn't travel out there. So if that's a reality, then they must have their own sun and moon. And then I saw someone comment on it on a podcast, and it was just confirming to hear that, because that would make more sense. But also the other map, if you could help me out here, where they have all these different circles and domes and different
Oh, you mean just lately? I saw something
what's
on
that
that
map
lately.
called again?
I don't know.
Outside of our dome are hundreds of other domes.
Yeah.
Extensive.
Yeah, I've seen that too. There's a few different, like the one that I like the most is the seven heavens, right? With the geocentric. So Mars would be another sun, and Venus would be another sun, and it just keeps on going out from the different parts of the dome, right?
What was his name? Kenny. I used to follow him, and he had like this egg concept. I can't remember. And he said, like Mars is we
Martin.
see it, and it's actually a sun going on the outer thing. So
Martin Kenny, I believe.
that's it, Martin
Yeah.
Kenny. Yes.
Martin Kenny.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got some good information. Norb's theory is what they do. And but I've seen what I've seen posts lately of what you're talking about with the different, like, it's almost like we're in crater Earth and then there's another crater that has another, yeah.
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 I mean, and this is all theory, because the only thing that we can prove is what's evident within Antarctica.
Yeah.
Everything outside of that is just speculation, and some of it could be based on, hearsay, evidence, what the scriptures say, the fact that there has been explorers that have said, Admiral Byrd, claiming that there's other land and they're hiding it from us, and it would make sense that they would hide it from us.
Yep. It makes me wonder if like everything that we do and everything is being recorded through social media and stuff, and it makes me wonder if they're actually looking for the ones with the intelligence to question the reality that they have, so they can kind of like ship us away from this mental asylum.
I'm gonna comment here, and I might edit it out later. But with David Weiss's app, okay, so Friend Finder, that's basically a whole bunch of people around the globe who can be easily tracked. That data could be easily hacked. They can get all those names, round everybody up. This was my thought. And then 2 days later, I saw a video where somebody commented on, they are going to round these people up. And then what? All the flat earthers. And this just makes it easy. That data would just make it easier. And then they would go beyond that as well and judge from what you post and algorithms being set off and that sort of thing. So that's a concern, but it's not going to stop me.
No, it's a theatrical spectacle, just like the Bible said. And it's so ridiculous that I don't think it matters. I mean, you hear about people being disappeared and stuff, but you can't live your life worrying about it.
No.
I think it's more important to follow your conscience. If you're passionate about understanding the truth, then whatever is the creator out there has the power to help you or whatever. And even if he doesn't, he could be just watching us too. I mean, there's going to be a point in time where it's going to all come to an end, and everything's going to be exposed, and we're going to be happy that we're going to be fulfilled that we followed our heart and our conscience.
No matter where they put us, we're still freed from that prison.
Yes.
And that's how you got to live. When the truth is on your side,
and
you can do
and it is a prison. And it is a prison to realize, like so many people on the earth, they know something's going on, but they want to have their accolades. They don't want people to make fun of them. They have their careers. Their kids are going to college. We're alumni of this school, and we got to go to.
There's a lot at stake.
This.
Exactly.
Yes, and that's the way it's been set up. It's been set up to drag your mind and your heart into it. And when you're faced with the truth, you go, "Oh no, I want to protect that more than I want to free myself from this prison of deception."
Yeah. And when people say they don't have time for it, it's because they don't want to burst their bubble, and they don't want to have to deal with the backlash that'll inevitably come.
Peer pressure.
And when you claim this truth.
Yep.
And there was a quote that David Weiss said in an interview. Let me just make sure I have it right here. Oh yeah, you cannot be freed from a jail when you don't know that you're in one. And then I looked it up, and there was a book with the same title, and it was a self-help book. but still, you know, it's not specific to anything. It can be applied with a lot of things, but it's so true. But a couple days later, I saw that same quote in a meme on Instagram, and they pertained it to JWs, waking up the JWs, you know, because their belief is so strong, and you can't, if they don't have questions, if they don't have doubts, the best you can hope for is planting the odd seed here and there. But I took it as a sign, though, seeing this quote a couple days later after hearing it, and then I saw it. I was like, wow, okay, I have to highlight that. Again, you cannot be freed from a jail when you don't know that you're in one.
Mm-hmm.
It's powerful.
I think people are starting to realize that they're in a jail, and a lot of them are slamming the door and staying in there anyway. They've been conditioned, like all those psychological Pavlov dogs, you know, Milburn experiments and all that.
Yeah, it's psychological, spiritual warfare, and they're all victims. And that's another thing they don't realize. They're victims.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss. That's another one. So, but who can be really, truly happy, especially right now with this ultimate control on everyone, this global agenda being carried out? How can you, you know, with the inflation and all these things directly affecting us that you can pinpoint? It's not a secret. You just go walk outside and look around, look at the sky.
Yeah.
You know, what they're polluting us with. Those aren't clouds. When's the last time you looked out and saw a blue sky, a real blue sky?
Been seeing them more often this summer than I have in the past, though. That's for sure.
They're stepping up their game. They're increasing it. They're adding more chemicals.
Mm.
They're intensifying this destruction, this assault.
Okay, so let's say that the mechanisms, like in the Book of Enoch, there's mechanisms that the earth is built on. All of the tides, you know, and the currents and everything like that flow at a certain rate, right? Okay, so let's say over the past decade, there have been earthquakes that have broken those underwater systems. Just like Haiti, Fukushima, and in the Gulf of Mexico, that BP oil disaster, you know that right after that, the North Atlantic Gulf current stopped flowing.
No.
That's right. And it was 3 or 4 years. There was no hurricanes. And then all of a sudden, they started that artificial stuff with HAARP and with the water, wet surface, air, if you look on YouTube, Weather Wars 101 did huge, a couple of years worth of really good research to show you how that was being manipulated. So off of the tip of Africa, the Horn of Africa, they would have these little cycles that they would bring out, and that would start to bring in the hurricanes into the North Atlantic. So I'm saying everything now, all the weather patterns are fake now. There's nothing,
It's so
I think
crazy.
the mechanisms underneath the oceans were broken, were taken over and broken, and now everything is manipulated through this globalist or satanic, you know, agenda. So
Yeah, I believe the
it's
same
big.
thing.
It's big.
I don't think any of our weather is natural anymore.
Right.
Geoengineering, all of it, HAARP.
They found it, like, maybe sorry.
Yeah, they've messed with all our systems. Oh, I was downtown the other day and the storm came in and dark clouds, and I was driving out of downtown and there was some lightning, and it lit up all of downtown.
Mm-hmm. And when they
Big,
bring it in,
bright
it's like
flashes.
it's intense, and then it goes away.
Weird. Yeah.
I'm almost 60 years old. This is all different now.
Yeah, yeah. And now there's thunderstorms without any rain whatsoever.
Right. Right.
Someone I was just talking to, oh, I forget where in the States, it was like 58 degrees Celsius. And he said, we've never seen weather like that.
Oh yeah.
It's all new. And you keep hearing that over and over again. And they
Oh,
want to,
yeah.
and then they can say, they
And
can
they're
sell their agenda that it's climate change.
climate change, and there you go. Climate change is going to be the next big thing.
Well, you remember the Australia fires.
Yes. And then on the other side of the country was all the floods.
Yeah.
I mean, ridiculous.
And they're trying to say it's because of the sun, all those fires. Or, you know, our own pollution,
To keep us in fear.
CO2. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
frustrating talking to people though about this stuff.
Yep.
is, yeah.
And at the same time, it's refreshing to talk to you guys. Apostate Jerky Boy, he had a friend come over. So, and you know, it's hard to get everyone from different time zones too.
I know.
But yeah, we should have another sit down, XJWs discuss with friends, XJWs and friends. Something. I want to make another channel too and just have this stuff up. And Rachel, you should bring back your BitChute channel. And then you don't have
Yeah.
to worry about things getting taken down. I know
Yeah,
this
that's
video
true.
is going to get taken down if I put it on my XJW. I just know.
Yes. And I'm sorry. I probably
Self-sabotaging.
contributed to that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You know, this has to get out, but at the same time, you got to be wise, you know? Let's just say I did post this to my channel.
Wise as serpents, gentle as doves.
Yeah, a handful of people would see it before YouTube catches on and shuts it down. And then I'd get a strike.
Well, I don't
Yes,
even know
right.
anymore what you can say. I mean, there are a lot of flat earth channels.
That's
But,
true. Yeah, but it's hard to
And you
find.
know what they'll do? They'll actually put a preview or something up on the YouTube and put a link to their BitChute account or their Rockfin account or whatever, and they can see the whole video there.
Oh, yeah, in the description. Yeah, if I do that, I want to throw some videos in the description. So, you know, just to
But I mean, instead of posting the whole video on YouTube, you just do a little preview or an announcement that you have this video, and then say, here's a
Oh.
link to it at your BitChute channel or whatever. But there's a lot of flat earthers who do that now because they're exploring all these
Okay.
other subjects and they know it'll just get taken down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So any other thoughts on anything or just there's so much proof of what we're saying is what we're trying to say. There's so much proof to be found. It's not speculation. It's not a theory. You can have you can only have one truth when it comes to this, and I believe that this is it. Only 2 years ago I made fun of it too, and oh, there was a documentary on Netflix and they're featuring flat earthers, and again, it wouldn't be on Netflix if it had any truth to it. If it was going to wake you up to flat earth, it wouldn't be on Netflix. So again, it just makes it look silly and confirms your own, you know, doubts about it. Confirms, oh yes, it's a ridiculous thing. Now let's go back to our regular lives and forget about it. But that's a mistake. You know, this is just saving your soul. It's like getting out of the religion. You save your soul. You have the truth on your side. You have a weight lifted off. You can think more clearer. You're more connected to where you live And if you believe in God, you're more connected to God. I felt that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think
And
that's
it's profound. It's profound. And I guess over time, you'll stop caring what people think. Be more confident about it as time goes on, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, I often I laugh at them now, right? Because they laughed at us for such a long period of time that maybe laughing at them will get them out of their little monkey brain attitudes, you know, like just to think that it could rain around a spinning ball, like it doesn't make sense. You know, it just doesn't. Yeah. Did you want to say something?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, Eric talks a lot about the creator and how the creator has its laws, like natural law, and that being First Nations as Indigenous people, like I'm Indigenous, and we know that we come from the land, and we are creation, we are center of creation. And
What's
so,
your background? I'm First Nations as well, a percentage.
okay, yeah, I come from Peace Point Treaty 8 territory. It's up Mikisew Cree Nation, which is northern Alberta.
Okay, yeah, nice.
I'm Dene and Cree.
Okay, I'm Mohawk.
Okay, oh nice.
My mom,
Okay,
gonna all there.
oh nice. Yeah, so
I
we
might
all
edit that out too, so you know.
we have laws, right, that the creator, you know, has, and we go by those laws, right? And the land teaches us, right? And the land birthed us, right? And so we're connected spiritual wise to the creator, right? And so I really do believe that that's why the residentials came and rolled in and put us on reservations, and you know, like with the residential schools and stuff. So I really do think that they wanted to wipe out the race because we are connected, so connected to creator, right?
Yeah.
So
What a good point. They tried to disconnect us and also take away our potential influence on other people to have them be connected as well.
yes,
How they took over, and you know, they slaughtered us. I mean, they broke us, took away our heritage and language, family division. It's like nowadays, you know, rounding up people and throwing them into camps. It's the same thing.
Yep. It is the same thing. Yeah.
I know, because that sort of freaked me out too when I thought about how they could do that with people who simply don't want to comply. You know, eventually they're just going to come around and gather all those people up. And, you know, the Jehovah's Witnesses, Rachel, they'll be hand in hand, smiling, going on the boxcars willingly, right? Thinking, oh, Jehovah's going to save us. No matter what happens, we're going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
This must be the Great Tribulation. And another reason why they want to take the guns, but that's a whole other subject. But yeah. And I'm not afraid of it anymore. I was back then. I had it like this fear about it, but it just kind of went away.
Yeah, that's it. Frame.
My faith is much stronger than my fear, that's for sure. You know, and
Yes, faith over fear.
yeah.
Mhm.
And when I
I
look
like
at
my little dog.
I look at fear
Aw.
as being is it's an illness as well, right? And
Disease.
Yeah.
yeah.
Fear is the disease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's much to be said about us who aren't living in that fear anymore, who are, you know, coming out and speaking out against the government tyranny. And I don't know, I think there's a better plan for us, that's for sure.
Yes. Yeah, that's my faith too. There is a better plan for us. The only plans we're seeing unfold are the satanic ones.
Yeah.
But
Right. Yeah.
there is something better.
Yeah.
Hey, I gotta get going, guys. I gotta get my supper, everybody's supper fixed.
Yeah. My daughter just came home too from her sleepover. It's been a couple hours, so I would say we had some good time. Any last thoughts or words to share before we sign off here?
Keep spinning.
No, had a good time. It was nice to meet you guys.
Keep
Is that
spreading the
meeting-
truth, I think I almost heard there.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. It was an absolute pleasure discussing this and talking freely. Hopefully we can do it again sometime soon.
Okay.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day, guys.
Yeah.
Bye, see ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.